Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, intuitive coach and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Wolfdreamer is a natural-born psychic medium with clairvoyant, clairaudient, and empathic abilities. She began experiencing premonitions early in childhood and has been working as a professional astrologer for over 40 years and as an advisor and counselor to over 10,000 clients. With the philosophy that we're all co-creators of our own reality, Wolfdreamer helps guide you to better choices so there's less chance of repeating old patterns. Let's welcome Wolfdreamer to the show. Welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful conscious conversations on the leading edge. Today I have Wolfdreamer joining us to talk about what it's like to be a psychic, reincarnation, and the keys to become being authentic and walking your path. So welcome, Wolfdreamer.
Hi, Angela. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes. You know, this should be like a disclaimer on my show that I say this all the time. You never know where we're going to start. You never know where we're going to end up. And that is part of the magical journey that we're about to embark on. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. But first, I want to start with your story because you have had a journey all of your life as very intuitive and psychic and having these abilities. So I want to hear all the juicy details about that. So let's start there.
All the juicy dirt, huh?
Yeah.
Well, where do I start? I guess I would just say I'm a natural born psychic. I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. I'm empathic. I'm also a clear channel medium, which means that if I have a client and possibly I may be receiving messages from spirit, from ones that have crossed over that would come through me. Of course, I don't bring them. I don't say, hey, come here. No, they come through. If they come through, definitely the person will know because they're going to be receiving very specific detailed messages from, let's just say their grandfather or their mother or whoever, and they would know, oh my gosh, there's nobody, I've heard, oh, there's no way that anybody would know this, only my mother knew that. Or I also am an astrologer. I've been doing this for over 40 years professionally. I started studying astrology when I was about 12 or 13. I am passionate about it. I love it. I am amazed continually at the incredible accuracy that can be attained by using this as one of the, I guess you'd say, tools. I also read the tarot, the traditional tarot. I'm very adept at using that, along with the angel cards. I love the Doreen Virtue cards. I use those now, usually when I'm doing a reading to kind of close it and get a message from the angels. And I work with the animal spirits, predominantly that connects in with my Native American side, and I am connected to Cherokee Apache. So when I was young, I was different, really different. I didn't know that I was different. Mm-hmm. I soon learned as I became older that, some people were a little scared of, a 6-year-old child. I had my first vision at the age of 6 when I walked into the kitchen and told my mother that I had seen my grandmother last night, and she was doing dishes, and very absorbed in washing her dishes, kind of into the the dishwashing meditation, I guess you'd say. I don't know, she was into it. And she had a dish in her hand. And I remember she looked at me when I said, I saw grandmother last night. And she looked at me and she said, what do you mean you saw grandmother last night? And I said, well, she was like this. And my mom dropped the dish.
Mm.
And it just, went in the sink. And I had come out with a few things prior to this that had happened. So she was very apprehensive about me saying I saw grandmother. And of course, when I told her I saw her like that, but she wasn't in her bed, that kind of, I was known as the little girl down the street who's a little different.
Yeah.
And I spent a large part of my early childhood formative years kind of a little bit of a loner, because I would say things, and again, lots of times these things would happen and it would freak people out. And I was told, shh, don't say these things. Do you want this to happen? Or how can you know that? Or where's that coming from? Of course, growing up in the age of a lot of, how do I say this, very strict, a lot of religion and concepts or preconcepts or ideas of, oh my gosh, where's that coming from? Is that evil? It does run in my family, but it skipped a generation. It came through pretty strong in me. So my mother was a little uncomfortable with it herself, although she would always say to me, well, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's a good idea? So she'd walk that thin line, But
is that common that it skips a generation, or is it?
I've heard that it can. I've heard that it can.
Because I think that happened in my family as well, on my dad's side. On my dad's side, and we have, I believe, 2 different Native American tribes that our family is affiliated with. But my grandmother on my dad's side, she and her sisters were very psychic. And of course, who knows about my dad, but but yeah, I think that, I was blessed.
That's another story there.
Yeah, I think I was blessed and took, that came through me. So
absolutely. Well, I can see it in you as I'm looking at you right now. And of course, picking up what I pick up just automatically, I can see that there's a lot of depth and a lot of what we would call older soul wisdom in you that you're bringing out in this incarnation. I started astrology. I mentioned that earlier when I was 13. I'm in my 60s now. And when I was 13, that just pulled me. It absolutely pulled me. I knew that they used to have these, they were called the Dell horoscope books. I don't know if they still even have them anymore.
I don't know.
But I would, oh my gosh, I would wait every month to get the new issue, and I would devour it, and I'd read all the articles. And of course, I didn't understand that much. So a lot of it was self-taught until later on when I started meeting other people. I met a couple people that have mentored me throughout the years that are just fantastic astrologers and taught me so much. And so I incorporate, when I do a reading with somebody and I sit down with somebody, I just use it all.
Yeah, I can tell. Because when we first met, I was coming to you and thinking about the tarot cards. But as I've gotten to know you energetically, I get the it's a much larger picture that you do pull in all of these aspects, and I love that because there isn't one path to any end goal or end result or information. It's just
right, and there's no perfect way either. It's not just, oh, this is the only way to do it. No, that's not true. We know that's not true. Everybody receives information a little differently. Everybody has their own gifts and abilities, I believe, and some people have to work a little harder at it. It's kind of like, I've had people ask me, what's it like? And I will refer to, for instance, some of the great artists like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Picasso, whoever, these great masters, they had natural gifts and abilities. They just had it. Some people have to, for instance, take art classes, and they
Hmm.
can become very good. They can become very good. They just have to work a little harder at it.
Yeah. So when you were a child, and you were getting these images or these impressions, this information, it felt completely normal to you.
Oh, extremely. Yeah, it's like
And
breathing,
right.
You
And
don't
then
think about it.
it's interesting how, how many of us got the message that you did that don't talk about this, don't say those things. Or what really stood out to me was that you don't want this to happen, do you? As if you're going to make it happen by saying it.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, how many times have we heard that message that and almost kind of blamed for things happening?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely good point there. And it rings with a lot of, that resonates. Um, because my mother even said, "Why would you even say that? Do you want that to happen?" Well, of course not. I'm a 6-year-old child. Why would I want that to happen?
Mhm. Mhm.
I loved my grandmother, you know. Oh, yeah, sure, I want to see her like this. No, it's a child.
Yeah, so do you think that we kind of give power, like greater power to these abilities than, like, are they more simple than we make them, do you think? Like, are,
That's a really good. I love that.
thank you.
I love the way you're thinking on this. Um, how can I answer that? You know, the idea of something coming naturally and allowing it to come through us and allowing ourselves to be who we are. I talk about being authentic. I see
Mhm.
it. I say it all the time. I really try to walk my talk. I try to be as absolutely authentic as I can. Um, People know where I stand. I can be quite vocal on many different subjects, but at least they know where I'm at
Mhm.
because I don't like to play the game. So, getting back to, is it harder, or do we make more out of it? And do we, struggle with it maybe more than we should? I would say, yeah, sometimes I think we do. I think that's a um, really valid point you're making.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we go to a psychic or we go to um, a reader or get our palm read or whatever it is because we're
Yeah.
seeking these answers, but
Sure.
really we have the answers within.
Yes.
And
Lots of times. You're right.
yeah.
We do. I've had a countless, again, I don't know, over 10,000 readings at least. I've lost track. I don't count anymore
Yeah.
over the years. And I've had people lots of times tell me after I'll say something, they'll go, "Oh, yeah, that's right. I had a feeling." Or, "Yeah, you're right. That's true." Or, "I thought about that, but I just needed some kind of, confirmation
Hmm.
that, again." And I tell people, listen to what you're getting, be open to what you're receiving. At least, if nothing else, acknowledge the fact that you're getting something from higher power, guides, God, spirit, whatever name, universal, collective consciousness, whatever you want to say, the source, you know, acknowledge that you're getting it.
Hmm.
And then at least stop enough to reflect on, hey, I got something. Maybe I should think about this a little more. Maybe I shouldn't just jump right into this. Maybe I should, consider what are my options, because I always say knowledge is power as well. When you have more knowledge, you can, make a much better choice.
Hmm. Hmm.
I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
And so when someone goes to a psychic, for
Hmm.
example, we have free will. So how does
Yes.
that play into
Yes.
what you receive as a psychic or these intuitive hits that we get?
I would honestly say that's so true. I tell people, I always bring up we have free will, because lots of times, of course, people know they can make their choices, but they sometimes need to be they need to acknowledge that, wait a minute, I can tell somebody, don't call that guy. you know, I really advise you, just let it go and move forward. And I can see so many other beautiful possibilities coming for you if you decide, if it's your choice. It's your choice to choose whether you do or not, but I'm not going to suggest that you do. And a few weeks later, I'll get a phone call, oh, Wolfdreamer, oh God, I called, you told me not, but that was their free will.
Right.
So yeah, we do have that ability. God gave us that ability to know, well, is that right? Is that wrong? Should I, shouldn't I? That's to stop and reflect and listen to what you're getting, listen to your guidance.
Yeah. Well, I think that when we're getting that guidance, our mind, our ego, or our thought process, our beliefs get in the way of us really being able to clearly receive that information from an objective perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I think working with someone like you, who you have no attachment to the outcome whatsoever.
No.
And so you can tune into someone's energy and be like, hey, this is what I see. This
well,
is
it's
what
very
I get.
objective. And I tell people, I'm not invested in, for instance, the lady's future as to whether or not she continues to repeat her pattern with somebody that's very self-destructive or limits her growth, limits her potential, what she could be doing. I'm not invested. I'm getting a completely unbiased view. When I hear things, I see things. When I receive what I receive, and I'm just the channel, and I'm talking blah blah blah, and it's coming through. They have to choose. So, yeah, it's
Yeah. And so I'm wondering if, because you're a natural at it, of course, now it's really easy for you to just tap in very quickly, or you receive stuff pretty automatically.
Yeah.
So do you have to turn it on and off, or just like how does that work?
I'm always on. I try not to always be on. I try to filter at least down, like turning the dial, you might say. I try to really, when I have to go into town, excuse me, like, go to the store to get groceries or whatever. I don't want to be walking in the store and be picking up everybody's. That's, first of all, it's very intrusive, and I don't want to do that. And secondly, I honestly don't want to hear all that stuff. I need a break too. And so I try to dial it down. I try to buffer. I put like a bubble around myself. Whatever I can imagine or put up, like shields up, Scotty kind of thing. I make sure that I'm kind of absolutely protected as well, because there's energies out there that will just really, you've heard the term psychic vampires.
Yes.
And I've met a few. And they will suck you dry, and some really do know they're doing it, and others are just kind of oblivious.
For those people that are, as we're talking, they're getting this sense that maybe they're receiving more information than they've been aware of. How do they? What would you recommend? How do they navigate through this process of exploring maybe their own abilities, or like, how do they know if it's their stuff, or if they're making something up, or if they're hearing somebody else's stuff?
Right.
How do you differentiate all that?
That's great. And let me start with the first thing I would suggest. I do it every day, is I have quiet time. I meditate. I have to. Otherwise, it's just too much. You have to be able to release as much as you receive. If I didn't release all that stuff that I pick up, you'd be scraping me off the sidewalk with a shovel. So I believe in, getting quiet. I'll put on some very very quiet music or something in the background. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll just go out back. I'm lucky. I live in the middle of a forest. Yeah,
Nice.
it's wonderful. So I have nature and serenity and peacefulness all around me, which I can just, I love it. I'll listen to the birds. I'll maybe watch a deer walk by or a bear. We have a bear here too. Um, so I would say get into a space where you can connect, when you can let things go, when you can open yourself up to spirit and listen to what might be coming through,
Hmm.
you know, listen to what might be coming through so that you are picking up. You're open. You have to be open. It's like when I open up that crown chakra, when I'm going to do a full-on reading, um, I'll I'll get myself grounded first. I line up there, I line up all the chakras, get everything, get myself all centered, and then I just go boom. I just
Mm.
kind of like open it up, and and then I'm open to receive. Um, I would tell people, get yourself comfortable. You know, sit on a pillow, sit in a chair. There's no perfect, absolute, written in stone way to do it. It's what gets you into that space of being able to receive the messages that are
Hmm.
coming in. And so that's where I would say start with that, because you have to be able to do that for yourself. And people say, "Well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm so busy." And I'm going, "Well, you know what? You need to make the time if you really want to get yourself into that um, state of being more aware and conscious. You have to make the time for yourself. You make time
Hmm.
for all these other things. So block out some time on your schedule. Say, that's my time. Shut the door. Take the phone off the hook. um, do whatever you got to do. And it's your time. And you just kind of, and you'll find as you start to incorporate that more into your daily life, it becomes very, very natural, and you will miss it if you don't do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's a good way to start opening to, I want to say spirit. I'm just going to use that term, general term of open to spirit, open to, your higher power. We all
Hmm.
have a higher power.
Well, and I love that you talk about grounding first, because I think so many of us are, especially spiritual peeps, we're kind of floating in the ethers, and we're really good up here, but we're not getting grounded.
Yeah.
And I think that if we're kind of walking around life ungrounded, we're not fulfilling our potential. We're not, and it leaves us open to those energy vampires or
Yes. Yes.
attachments or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent point. It
Hmm.
does. Um, our physical body, we have the physical body, we have the ethereal body around us, the aura that you can see. Um, we have to make sure that it is, doesn't have a bunch of leaks in it. I don't know how else to say that. It's
Hmm.
like, taking like you take a piece of paper and you take a pencil and you rub the pencil back and forth and back and forth and back, and then you take an eraser and you draw lines through it. That's how I've seen some people's auras look. Lots of leakage, not grounded. And you're right, you do need to be grounded. Like I said, before I do anything, I sit there. I usually work with two different crystals. I have one that's a smoky quartz,
Hmm.
and then I have a clear quartz, and I put one in one hand and one in the other for my balance, and then really focus myself in, and my body just goes, whoa.
Yeah.
And there I am, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. Bring it on.
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, so let's jump to reincarnation, because I know
sure.
that you
Let's
said that,
jump.
yeah,
I like
let's,
that.
in the spirit, we could just like jump all
We
over the
we
place.
can. We
Yeah.
absolutely can.
So, so you said you don't go out and like find the people, right? They come to you. So when
Yes.
you do a reading, like loved ones or someone that has a message will show up. So,
Yes. Not
um,
always, but sometimes, yes.
yeah. So this is not our only lifetime.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
That
Absolutely.
that'd be like saying we're the only planet or we're the only life in
Intelligent life
yes.
force. I hear, I'm tracking you. I got exactly where you're at. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that would be so ridiculous, wouldn't it? Yeah, reincarnation. I a lot of my library, I don't know if you can kind of see it back there.
Oh, yes.
A lot of my library, it's, an assortment that I've collected over the years of many, many, many topics, and a lot of them are on reincarnation and astrology and reincarnation, etc. And myself, I don't know all the prior incarnations I've had, but I do know some of them. And if I were to look at my chart with another very proficient astrologer, I've had other astrologers look at my chart and go, oh, wow, look at all that stuff in your 12th house. Wow, you've been a psychic many times, or oh, you've done astrology at least 3 incarnations that I know of. I know I have, because again, it pulled me when I was that young, 12, 13 years old, just drew me. It was
Hmm.
when I was, kind of like repeating this energy pattern. Apparently, I know it's my path now, and apparently it's been my path before. So, reincarnation, when I'm connecting and maybe picking things up, and lots of times people will come to me and tell me, can you tell me about my past lives? Can you tell me maybe who I was, or here's the big one. I love this. I met this person.
Oh.
Can you tell me if they're like a soulmate or somebody that I've known before in a prior life? Now that is a very, very valid and honest question.
Hmm.
And quite often when I sit down with that person and I start getting the information, I will see that, oh, yes, there's obviously a reason why they're feeling this is
Hmm.
because, yes, yeah, as you know, you're very aware. I already know you got a lot of the answers that I'm just putting out here. When we make contacts with people that we have known, and of course this is my views and my feelings, that we have known in a prior incarnation, we will know. We will have some kind of a sense or a feeling about that, like, wow,
Hmm.
this person just feels comfortable. I know I just met them, but however, it feels like we could just talk for hours about all these different things and flow.
Yes.
And when you have that kind of a vibe or that energy, that's a good indication you've known somebody before. Um, how could we not have reincarnation? Because the whole idea of being on a spiritual path and doing what we do, you know, is the fact that we're learning lessons.
Hmm.
Everything's a lesson. We're either giving a lesson to somebody or we're receiving one from somebody else. Now, it could be face to face, or it could be even in a book that we're reading and we go, oh, we have one of those, as Oprah would say, an aha moment.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, yes, that's true. It resonates. That's so true. We know. We know. That's that knowing.
Hmm.
The knowing. We know that's true. We may not be able to prove it in all facts, but we know it. It resonates in us, and we just know that's true, our truth.
Hmm. And that's
So
such a beautiful feeling
it
to
is.
have. And it's like the first time you have it, it's like, oh, can I trust it? But the more you relax
Yes.
into it and the more you have it, it's like, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah, absolutely. And you recognize it. Yeah, I think people recognize it. And again, I've had people come to me, and I've had couples come to me and sit in front of me and go, and I'm looking at their auras. I'm reading, I'm getting all this information. Everything's coming in. It comes in like, oh, big wave. And I've said to a few of them, well, you already know that you've probably known each other before, or you've had a prior incarnation, and you're finishing part of your journey that you didn't finish before. Now you have the chance to either work through it. That's the key. Work through it so you can raise your vibration level up. Isn't that what it's all about? It's about love. We're supposed to raise our energies up. We're supposed to raise that vibration so that you can get through your stuff. So this time around, you have the opportunity in this incarnation to get it right,
Mm-hmm.
to get it better,
Mm-hmm.
than it was,
Yeah.
because we made an agreement to come in here. We agreed. This is our choice to
Mm-hmm.
be here at this time.
And some of us signed up for a whole lot more than they realized.
Did I really pick this? That's where you're going, huh? Seriously, what was I thinking, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
took on a lot. The old souls that came in, I can't tell you how old I am. Oh wow. Which means I've had a lot of times to try to get it right, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
I'm still here, just like everybody else. And as long as we're here, as long as we're walking on this earth, we still have lessons to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting when you said that you've been an astrologer in multiple past lives. And
And psychic.
yeah, so when we carry through something like that, what is that telling us? That when we bring it lifetime to lifetime.
I would say that, we all have a path. We all have something that we're supposed to do. We're all called upon to be somebody, to be proficient in something, to shine, if you will. Some people are born into this incarnation to become, let's say, world renowned surgeons in an area, in a specific field. That is their path.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ultimate healers in some area, you might say. Um, I think that with me, uh, I don't know. It's hard to answer that. It just resonates as I know this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to bring this in at this time, and share what I have, and share as much as I can of what I know, my knowledge, so that I can pass the ideas. We have to pass these things on. We're
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to live our life and hold it all in and not share it with anybody, and then just turn into stardust at the end, because then we haven't passed on any of our gifts, our
Yeah.
knowledge. We haven't shared, and that's part of it. We're supposed to give back. Even in astrology, when you look in that sixth house, it's the house of health, and it's also the house of service. How do we serve, or how do we suffer? We
Mm-hmm.
have to serve. We have to give back. We have to do things.
Well, and what you're saying is inspiring this thought in my mind of, um, this whole thing about authenticity and really
Mhm.
showing up and shining. I find, I'm interviewing people all the time for the show. And I also do something else now, which are visibility videos, because I realized that you find this everywhere, but spiritual entrepreneurs in particular have a hard time really showing up and shining their brilliance and sharing their message with people, and they're kind of in hiding. And this has been an interesting thing I've noticed over the last couple of years, that this process of really stepping in and owning your brilliance and owning your gifts. And so what you were saying about, having this show up in multiple lifetimes, it just brings this to the forefront for me, and realizing that that's part of the process. That's the
That is,
journey, really showing up
yeah.
and shining.
Absolutely. We're here for a reason. All of us are here for a reason. We have a purpose, and we need to be able to step into our power,
Mm-hmm.
step in and take on what we said we were going to take on and do.
Yeah.
Remember, we made that commitment. We said, yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this and I'm going to help. I'm going to, help by sharing what I have with others so that they can have a little bit easier, perhaps, way of making choices and decisions in their life. Um, I also do healing work with, healing touch and Reiki. I don't know. I just lay hands on people at times, and I had a client at the elf fair the other day who came in, and I looked at her and I said, "Do you have a headache?" Because I saw this like big band around her head. She
Mm.
goes, "My head's killing me." I says, "Well, before you have your reading, let me get pull some of that out if that's you." "Oh, please." And 10 minutes later, she's, "Oh, I feel so much better." I says, "Good. Now you can enjoy your reading." We have to step in if we're called to do something. we're not supposed to stand on the sidelines.
Well,
We're supposed to step forward.
yeah, and same thing for everyone, just stepping in and using their intuition and following that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Doesn't mean we're always going to be right. I don't claim 100% accuracy.
Hmm.
And I, if anybody does, I would kind of laugh,
Yeah.
because we can't be. We're not perfect. And I know that I've been tested over the years many times, and they say I'm in the high 90 percentile all the time. My clients tell me, you're right, you're right, you're right. But yes, we have to be authentic. We
Hmm.
have to walk our talk. That doesn't mean we just come in and shine. Oh, I'm doing this event for 6 hours and I'm going to put on this mask and be somebody that I'm really not. That won't work,
No.
because the truth does always come out eventually. And again, nobody's perfect. However, when you walk your talk, you speak your truth, people are going to know it.
Yes. It's almost like it's that transparency piece. You can see through, like, there isn't like this, I'm having a hard time like putting words to it, but the sense I get is like you can almost see through them in a
Oh
way.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and I'm not talking about like what they're saying, but just physically it's like there's a translucence about them. Yeah. It's like they're shining.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. And you can tell when people are holding things. I mean, I
Mhm.
can.
Yeah.
It's so easy. You can tell
Yeah.
when somebody's holding stuff. I had somebody, it doesn't happen too often. Usually people that come to me at this point in my path on my life where I'm at now, very few people will come to me that are not serious and really looking for answers.
Mhm.
Because if you ask me, I'm going to tell you, you know. And so very few people will put up that, I call it, try to play stump the psychic. I tell them, don't, because you're
Yeah.
wasting my time. You're wasting your time
Mhm.
and your money. Why play the game? Just, I won't even bother with it.
Right.
I'll just tell somebody, go on,
Yeah.
bless you,
I'm not the
move.
right person for you. Go over that
I'm
way.
not the right one. You just go ahead and move on, because I know that there's somebody that really does need me.
Yeah. So let's jump into the experiential part of
I know
the
you've been
conversation.
waiting for
I've been
this.
waiting. I'm so excited because when you first saw me at the recent fair, you're like, I see all this stuff. I could just tell you all this stuff right now.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna turn the
Yeah. You want
hand
me
it
to
over
just
to
kind of
you.
open up, huh?
Yeah,
All right.
let's just
Okay.
play.
Well,
This is
sure,
fun.
this works for me. I'm looking at it. I did your chart.
Mhm.
You gave me the information, which of course is confidential. I'm not going to put it out on the site here. But you gave me your chart information, and I did your chart, and I just did it just a few minutes before we started talking. So I haven't had a chance to analyze it a lot. However, I'm just going to go into read mode. My guides are here. I'm open. Everything's clicking. I don't know if you're seeing a change in my face. Sometimes people tell me I look a little different when I start reading.
Mhm.
Um, you have been going through some tremendous changes and very exciting and driving energies through your career over the last few years. I want to say approximately the last 6 years have been absolutely like from 180 to 180. You're bouncing and going. Is this making any sense to you
Mhm.
at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've been busy, and it's been like a whirlwind ride, and you really enjoy this. I mean, you resonate with that energy. However, you also have those time periods where you really need to shut the phones off, get yourself into your space, be home, because home is really important to you as well. It's your little, you got to have that root. You got
Mhm.
to have those roots. And if you don't have that, it can be quite disturbing to you on many levels. Um, I would say that it's very important. You love to get out there, you shine, and you can be very, very social in many ways. I do see that about you. And just tell me what I've been getting so far. Is this resonating? Because I'm just double
Mm-hmm.
checking I'm getting the right information from everybody here.
Yep, yep. So far,
Yeah,
so good.
yeah. I will keep some of the personal stuff for perhaps later. I won't
Okay.
go into that because that is, I see, personal. So I'm going to move away from that and I'm going to focus more on, yeah, your career. That's a big thing. A lot of it right now has to do with networking. You're moving into the networking thing where you're doing a lot more of that. You're connecting with more people. This is opening up a big, broad area for you, untapped, unlimited possibilities and potentials is the way that Spirit is telling me to give that to you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. And I see bigger things for you. You're really moving forward. Your goal is to really take what you have and run with it right now. You've got the groundwork, you've laid it out.
Hmm.
You have a pretty good foundation. You have an idea of exactly where you're going, where you want to go, and where you want to be. And I would say you're achieving it. Of course, there's the ups and downs and the sideways things that kind of hit you that are like, wow, where'd that come from? But that's just kind of life, and
Right.
that's part of the learning thing. Um, you're also a very nostalgic person in many ways. I see you going back to the past and reliving many, many very close to your heart memories.
Hmm. It's interesting. Recently, I was doing a huge decluttering, so I was releasing some old, like emotion tied stuff that I had.
Yes.
I was burning it and releasing
Oh, yeah,
it.
you were clearing it out. You were
Yeah.
clearing it out, lady. You're clearing out your closet. You were like,
Yeah.
okay, that's it, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like you closed the door. I will tell you, I see you closing the door, which allows you now to move forward and open other doors. Some of those things were holding you back. And you know what I'm talking about. And again, I'm staying away from some of the areas that I know I need to
Oh,
stay away.
girl, you don't have to stop. I'm an open book, so.
No, no, and we all have our private parts. So, you have really been also working on creativity is kind of coming out a little bit with you now too.
Hmm.
Recently, I see that you've been like, wow, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. And creativity goes in with your work. So
Hmm.
your work, number one, is your work right now, your
Yeah,
career.
yeah.
Yeah?
Uh-huh, definitely.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, that just shines. That's the number one. That's your focus. That's your goal. This is how I'm going to, if you will, have my security later on, is I'm going to go for it now.
Hmm.
And you're using that energy and you are building, I want to say, the steps that you need and the foundation so that you'll be successful. Because you know that there's really no shortcuts. You've learned that you can't just always jump, even though you can be quite impulsive at times. You can't just jump. You've learned. There's certain steps that need to be done to be successful. And
Hmm.
you have incredible abilities for success. They're there. And I think that you have really tapped into them. You are also, with Neptune and Pisces transiting through your ninth house right now, you are expanding your spiritual path like this is a really big focus, which is incorporated in with your work. They go hand in hand,
Hmm.
they are interconnected. It's spirituality with your work. No more distractions, is what I'm hearing.
Right. Yep. Decluttering, clearing out. It's kind of like doing an audit
Oh, yeah.
on my business, my life.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Mm-hmm.
interesting, powerful process.
You made some good choices, by the way.
Good.
Yeah. Um, Sometimes you just need to know when to release.
Yes. Yeah, that one, that's been
I
a
know. I
lesson for
know.
me.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yep,
It's
learning to let
okay.
go.
You have to learn to let go sometimes, and it's hard. It's not easy because of course we are human beings
Hmm.
and we're having this human experience even though we're spiritual beings. So we're connected to the emotion as well. And that's a very strong part with you as well. So part of you says, I'll just let it all go and I'll just do what I want to do and I'll move forward. And the other part says, but this hurts. This is just not, it's not easy. I can't, it's not as easy as it sounds like. Just do. I can't just do it. I have to go through some, if you will, growing pains to be able to get to where I know I need to be.
Yes.
Sometimes you just got to let the stuff go. And when you do, I've noticed myself, when I let something go that's been heavy on me, and I finally make, the thing is making the decision. That's the thing. That's the key. When you make the decision, you find that when you go back and forth for a while and you're going, oh, I should, but then I don't know. And, but oh gosh, I don't know. And then you finally say, you know what? I'm going to do this, whatever this is. Don't you just feel like, okay, now you've empowered yourself. That's what you've done, is you've taken your power back.
Yeah.
And when you take that power back and you say, I am in charge of my choices and what I decide to do, then that releases all that stuff that was clinging on you. Klingons. We don't need Klingons.
Right. Yeah,
So,
and I think that's a huge lesson for a lot of people is knowing when it's time to let go of something and releasing it with grace and ease and with gratitude.
not always easy, is it?
Oh
It's not
no,
always easy.
no. There's a aspect of my business I am in the process of letting go of, and when I went to write the email last night, after that I was nauseous after doing that, and then through this morning I was sick to my stomach. And I was like, wow, it is hard to let things go sometimes.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, that shows up in your 6th house.
What's that?
I'm just going to hold it up where you can't see the date, where nobody can see the date. But right here, right where I'm pointing, you can see that there's a bunch of planets right here. There's Saturn, Venus, and the Ascent. And they're all in Sagittarius.
Okay.
And the 6th house has to do with your health and service, as I mentioned earlier. And these decisions, once you decided, they were done very quickly. Action. You took action. You're an action person.
Yes, I am. And it's interesting because I wasn't always that way.
Well, you were inhibited when you were younger with that 4th house with Pluto Libra, excuse me. There was a lot of changes that went on in your home when you were growing up that formed, a lot of your own opinions and feelings of who you were and your worthiness and self. A lot of, there was some upheaval going on there, lady.
Yeah.
We are all going through changes. I mean, all of us. Life is about change. Nothing ever stays exactly the same. It couldn't. That would be completely stagnant. We would have no growth, right? So sometimes we have to be pushed, if you would, into a different comfort zone. We get in a comfort zone. You like to be in a comfort zone. We all do. We all have that little, well, I feel good here. I don't know if I want to venture outside of that. Doesn't feel right. And sometimes we need to listen to that. Right. Sometimes we need to stay into that where we feel that we are at our best and where we resonate. And sometimes it is good to go ahead and open that door a little bit and peek inside and say, well, I guess I could stick my toe into the water there a little bit and see how it feels. But we have that choice. Again, there's that free will to decide what we want to do and where we want to go. And I think that you're making some very, I want to say, more assertive decisions now. And it's like, I'm going to do this. This is where I've been wanting to go, and I got off track. I was pulled into different directions. You've been pulled into a lot of different directions over the last six and a half, almost 6.5 years. Changes, things you weren't expecting. Things that came like, wow, where'd that come from? Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But that's okay because it has got you to where you are right now.
Right.
And where you are right now is the direction that you want to be going.
Yeah, I'm definitely I definitely aligned with my path and my purpose. It's,
Well, yes, yes, you
yeah.
are. Again, that spirituality that I talked about in your ninth house, it is being activated right now. It's in its own sign. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. And right
Okay.
now, Neptune is in Pisces.
Okay.
Planets go through signs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like doubly powerful. And hitting in the ninth house, that's the ninth house, is higher learning, spirituality, foreign cultures, but definitely spirituality, religion. Those are two of the main things of the ninth house energy. You are on a spiritual path.
So how long is that in the house?
In
Neptune,
your
how,
house,
yeah, how
okay,
long is it in there?
well, it's at 9 degrees Pisces right now, and there's 30 degrees. So we have a ways to go. And Neptune actually will be in the sign of Pisces until 2025.
Oh,
So
okay.
if that gives you an idea, um, it's going to
So,
be transiting through there for quite a while. It does move slowly. Remember, each planet moves at a different rate of speed.
right.
Like the moon, for instance, in good reference, we look at the moon, and the moon embodies, and that's the ruler of Cancer, by the way. The moon embodies femininity, the goddess. There you go. Spiritual, psychic, emotion. The moon has all these different qualities, and it goes through a sign, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Every 2 to 2.5 days, it is changing. That moon is just moving through those signs, the 12 signs of the zodiac.
Mm-hmm.
Uranus, on the other hand, takes 7 years
Wow. Yeah,
to go
slow.
through to go. Saturn takes about 2 to 2.5 years.
And Neptune is fairly slow, isn't it?
Neptune takes about 7 years.
Seven
It's been
years,
in
yeah.
Pisces from February the 3rd of 2012 until March 30th of 2025.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah,
So,
because one of the things I'm really called to do right now is to travel internationally and take the show international.
well, there you go.
Yeah,
Like I
so
said, some big things coming. And
yeah.
travel, you enjoy travel as long as you can have that base. You need to be able to get back like, okay, I've been on the road for 3 weeks. I need to be home at least for a week now.
Mm-hmm.
It is essential.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you will feel like you don't want to be living out of a suitcase. It will
Yeah.
get to you. But as long as you have that, again, balance, everything's balance, isn't it? And we all have different ways of achieving balance because we're different people. What resonates for one doesn't always resonate for the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, I can see you getting out there and making the contacts and having the energy and the that you have to accomplish this and make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As long as you remember to balance yourself and get back home where you can have your, comfort.
Right.
Because that's important for you.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
your space.
Yes, it's so true. And you can see in the background with, that I create a sanctuary in my surroundings. And so
Absolutely.
you're right. It's like after a week, yeah, I just get itchy
I
and
miss home.
yes. Yeah.
You know, I think that we are all, I just wanted to also say, talking about creative, because you're very creative as well, and you're coming into more creative energies. They've been kind of hidden. They've been kind of buried for a while, is the way I see it. And now they're starting to surface, like bubbling up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we are more powerful and creative than we've ever been taught to believe that we are.
Yeah.
I think we have boundless, unlimited. We are boundless and unlimited. We're masters of
Mm-hmm.
our own
Mm-hmm.
destinies, really,
Well, especially
in
when we
so many
tap
ways.
into our own intuition and
Yes,
allow source to move through us, then
absolutely. That's the
of
way it's
course,
supposed to be.
yeah, yeah. Well, so I'm curious, are there any, as we wrap up, are there any last words or anything you're feeling called to share with the community or?
Well, yeah, I would say that what's important is right now, like now, this very moment. We hear this, the past has passed.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we spend more time than we need to dwelling on things that we cannot change. We have no power over the past. It is past. Can we change 5 minutes ago? No. No. And the future, it's kind of an illusion. It's not here yet. So I tell people we help co-create our potential future. That's something I say. So I would say being present, being authentic and walking in your path and doing what you feel is right for you is so important for everybody. We need to be who we are. We need to be allowed to be who we are. We need to recognize that we are spiritual beings. We're here for a reason. We all have a purpose, whatever that may be, and to own and stand in our power.
Yeah.
Stand in our power. Acknowledge it. Claim it. It's ours.
That's right.
And don't waste any time.
No.
Just live your life and live it as well as you can and enjoy it. We have to enjoy things too. It's not always just work, work, work.
Yeah.
It's a good balance. Everything's balance. It really is. The older I get, the more that just comes in front of me and I go, yeah, you can work like crazy. I work a lot. And then there's times you just go, okay, that's it. After I do a event, when I do a personal appearance, 24 hours after that, I'm down. I tell my clients, I'm sorry, I'm not doing any readings for at least 24 hours. I need time for me. You have to honor who you are. You have to do that. You have to do that in order to stay balanced. If I'm not balanced, if I'm not grounded, I can't help anybody.
Right. When you need to have that fresh, creative flow of energy to come in to be really create even more with
That's
your
right.
energy. Yeah.
That's right. And create the abundance that we want to create. There's nothing that says we shouldn't have abundance. Abundance encompasses many things.
That's right.
Abundance of love, abundance of joy,
abundance of air,
financial security, air, water. Water is important. It makes me think about my relatives at Standing Rock right now and what these people are standing for. Please support them any way you can.
Yes.
This is our water. This is our children's, our grandchildren's. There's so much going on this planet right now that is so wrong.
So out of balance.
So out of balance.
Yeah.
It's definitely not synchronicity, not what we're trying to achieve. And that's why a lot of us came back at this time period in this incarnation, was to help. We're the light beings. We're the light givers, and the sun just came out again, as I said. Thank you. So, this has been very enjoyable. I thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you. This has been enjoyable, and I love. It was like we just magically went through like all of these topics and explored different pieces and how they all interweave, and it's beautiful. So
it's magical, isn't it?
Yes. It is magical. So thank you for going on this magical journey with me today.
Oh, thank you. I want to say blessings to you. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.